How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is doing well. As you listen to my diatribe, let's get right into it. Now, amidst all the great things going on, of course, you have, as you always do, the opposite of great things going on, right? With respect to Hex, pulsechain, pulsex, what's happening right now is nothing less than incredible. Point blank, period. What I find fascinating is how people are easily swayed one direction or another, like the wind, that blows. People just sometimes forget about what they stood on, the foundation, their understanding, the knowledge of certain things. It just goes out the window because they allow their emotions to take over and control them in their decision making. What am I talking about? Well, it's simple. This Ehex versus Phex talk, people, I guess if it wasn't going to be about Ehex or Phex, it would be about something else. Because it's always about something else. There's always some type of issue, contention, drama. I tell you, it makes me want to just like walk away, like not from crypto, and I'm saying this metaphorically speaking, like leave the devices and then come back at some point in the future. Not too long, but at some point, because we understand crypto moves extremely fast. You miss a day, that's practically like missing a month. That's how fast, rapidly quick. You know what I'm saying? Things just move so quick. You have two opposing views with this Ehex, Phex. People believe Ehex is going to zero. People believe no one should really focus on Ehex anymore. They should just sort of migrate over to Phex. Now, a lot of people are talking about it. It's all through, the social media outlets. For example, Twitter, YouTube, Telegram, Discord, whatever social media outlets that you find the Hex community, pulsechain, and pulsex. This was the largest airdrop in crypto history, right? The largest, and maybe even the largest and successful, perhaps, over the other two ghost chains that came and did their thing last year in September. But this is a totally different situation because you have a blockchain that copied the entire network state of Ethereum. Those other two did something slightly different because even today with those two ghost chains, they leave a lot to be desired. A lot. There's so much that's lacking over there, but the proof of work, whatever. Shout out to them. Hope things work out in the future for that. But with this largest airdrop that took place, meaning all the ERC20s got copied over to pulsechain, right? A lot of people don't think about other communities. There are other communities outside of Hex. Huge. There are communities that are bigger than Hex, larger than pulsechain, larger than pulsex, larger than all of us collectively. There are communities out there, people. Make no mistake about it, right? That have been working with Ethereum. 100%. if you're saying that Ehex is going to zero and that everyone should just basically migrate from Ehex or Ethereum altogether and just utilize pulsechain solely, is that the same narrative that should be adopted with all the other communities? Should the other communities do the same thing? But wait a minute. It's people don't talk about the other communities. Pulsechain wasn't created for other communities outside of Hex, right? But Pulsechain offered the largest airdrop to Ethereum holders. So I'm trying to make sense out of this. But everything is about Hex. I get it. I understand it. I understand it. Hex is the nucleus to all of this. It's the glue. It's the foundation. You have a layer 1 where Hex lives on, along with how many other untold amounts of tokens. Purposefully, should everyone else do the same thing and basically abandon Ethereum? Was that the goal? Especially when we heard Richard, many people heard it. He doesn't want to see cheap Hex anywhere. So the folks that are pro pulsechain Hex on Pulse, who are against Ehex, I'm just asking this question, like, what do you think about what Richard said in essence of doesn't want to see cheap Hex anywhere? Did he not understand that Hex is going to be, you're going to find Hex on other chains? We understand that with chains like Polygon, for example, Hex is over there, has been there for years, but you can't stake the Hex on Polygon, right? It's not really, the community doesn't rally behind Matic. I get that. But Ethereum, this is where you found Hex. This is what Hex was built on top of. We know Ethereum has become something else since 2.0. It's become something entirely different than what it was supposed to be. First and foremost, it's no longer proof of work. And you could, surmise other issues too regarding censorship, compliance, very extremely compliant, right? With censoring people. We saw what happened with Tornado Cash, and the gas fees with Ethereum are just a huge problem. We know this. But Ethereum still exists. It still exists. I don't really, when I listen to both sides, because, the guys who are pro Hex solely on Pulse basically want to see the chain thrive. The chain meaning Pulsechain thrive. Like, focus all your attention in one area to give it the power it needs to propel it through the sky, right? To win. So everybody could receive maximum gains. Once Hex goes up, you're treating Hex like Bitcoin, right? The rising tide lifts all boats. So Hex will be the Bitcoin that lifts everything up on Pulsechain. PulseX, Pulsechain, all the derivatives that are tied to Hex on Pulsechain, etc., etc., etc. We get that. But isn't that what Hex has been doing on Ethereum this whole time? Especially when people, You learn over time what what Hex is, not Ethereum, what Hex is, and the T shares and the mechanics and the value proposition and how it works. And we got twice the power now working on our behalf. You're gonna just dismiss the other half? Dismiss? How you gonna leave an old friend behind? I look at Ethereum. I look at Hex on Ethereum as a old friend. Like that was the beginning. You're just gonna abandon it for some type of consensus agreement that you really think people are really. This is the thing. Do you really think that people are going to, who have been in Hex on Ethereum since day one, for example, or even now, up till now, right? Everybody who staked, all these stakes upon stakes upon stakes. You think people should now, by abandoning Hex and making Hex go to zero? So what does that mean? Nuke all your stakes, all your ladders, all your long term, all this, assume all these penalties to then do what? Be left with a minuscule portion of what you had staking to then do what with that? Migrate over to pulsechain with a small, like, I don't understand it. I don't understand that. I get the divide, the division, the split, the fork. It's, people try to relate it to when BTC forked, Bitcoin Cash forked off of BTC and created a fiasco. That's sort of different. It's sort of different. But they try to use that as an excuse to support their views on keeping the attention solely on Pulse now. I don't this wasn't the narrative that I heard for the last 2 years. I've heard, and I've seen people say that they've been talking about this for a few months, and this is something that people weren't ready to talk about because folks were sort of distracted and thinking about and talking about other things. Rightfully so. People really weren't, this wasn't so polarized. This conversation, this practically vexing, upsetting conversation wasn't brought up because people weren't believing that pulsechain was even going to come out, and here we have pulsechain. So now to have a community of people believe that everyone should stand on the other side of the fence. Meanwhile, you've been on this side of the fence for how long? Fully committed is going to be a huge undertaking. Like, and I don't think it's going to turn out the way people might envision it to turn out. Those who are pro P-Hex, solely P-Hex. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Because here we are, like, Ethereum's not going anywhere. It's not like Ethereum turned off. Again, and what does that mean to the other communities? If Hex does that, Hex goes to zero, and then what? What does that do for, if you want to really, let's say, like, you see how Richard, he's said in the past that he's doing this for glory. He wants to be the best example of what crypto is supposed to be, represent the best part of crypto and be the focal point, the leader in all of this. If Hex goes to zero, what does that do to his image and reputation, right? And his glory, his mission to achieve glory. What does that do to that? Like, the man is too proud to concede in that way, which again it doesn't support what he believed or what he said, unless it was a mistake. But when he said he doesn't want to see cheap hex anywhere, I remember last summer not last summer, but in the beginning of the fall of last year, after ETH 2.0 came out and the ghost chains forked Ethereum, he was asked in a live stream, if he, what's his position on those ghost chains. And he said he didn't, what's the liquidity like? What are the chances? He didn't give a full definitive answer because there were concerns, security issues, 51% attacks, relay stuff, all kinds of whatever. Maybe the chains are, it's just leaves, it's too new. He wasn't really familiar. He didn't have the information, but he didn't necessarily say that hex on those ghost chains should be abandoned. He didn't give a yes or he didn't give a no. Because it just goes back to, again, what he said. Oh, you don't want to see cheap hex anywhere, right? Well, hex is multiplied on multiple chains at this point. And who knows what the future holds, but here we are right now. We're not talking about the future, right? We're talking about right now. The division that's being created right now, like at this time where the pulsechain blockchain hasn't even existed, the mainnet hasn't even existed for a full 30 days yet. And this energy of people clamoring left and right, I don't know, unless people are, folks, look, I'm not saying folks have bad intentions, any of that. I'm not, folks are trying to look for the best opportunity with whatever we have in front of us. And I respect that. But I could also see when people can also create strategies to present opportunities for folks to buy cheap, to buy things low. Who knows? Maybe people who sold Hex don't want to be bothered with Hex on Ethereum. People who sold Hex on Ethereum don't want to be bothered with Hex on Ethereum anymore. Because it's hard when you let something go to really have an affinity for it, because you let it go, you sold it. But if you're in Pulse Chain, I can see you just, all aboard, like it's a go, 100%. Maybe that's what's fueling some of the position that some of these people have in the community. I don't know. But my thing is, both bags filled, Ethereum and Pulse. What? It can't be a waiting game. Waiting shouldn't be an option. It should just be nuke everything on Ethereum and then go to Pulse. Why can't just sit and chill? It's only been 2 weeks. Right? Folks, I don't know. Like I said, shout out to the people who are making money in Pulse Chain right now, who know what they're doing, who are doing it because they know what they're doing. Shout out to the folks that are making money, because people are making money right now as we speak in Pulse Chain. Multiple ways. Do your research. We waited so long to arrive at this point. This short-term noise won't really mean much. It may not mean much when you zoom out a year, 2, 3 years from now. If you think critically and not allow the opinions of others to sway your decisions. Either way, that's why it's always up to you to make the decision that's right for you. As an individual, you always have to sit and think and make the decision that works for you, not based on what somebody else is telling you, but what works for you in your life at this moment. every time. The decision is yours to make and to be well at ease with the result because you made the decision. That's just my take on it. It's just my take. And in the meantime, like again, it's only been 2 weeks. So you got to feel through all this. Let's see what another, month or two brings, because there's more more things are coming onto the chain. I'm hearing that there's a ramp that's coming. There's different things that are coming onto the chain. Like let the dust settle. If you don't know what you're doing, don't trick yourself out of a chance that might change your life forever. It may or may not, but don't trick yourself out of an opportunity and fall out of the position that you waited so long to be in right now by making a decision that could be rash, out of emotion, out of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD. And then at some point in the future find out that it's the worst mistake you could have made. Like, really, let the dust settle, because right now this is what we're going through. Amidst all the great things going on, there's just a lot of just weird energy to trick people out of your bags. I'm telling you, I've said this, I've been saying this for a long time. When pulsechain launches, there are going to be events, there are going to be situations that present themselves, there are going to be people that are going to come after you, that are going to try to convince you to relinquish what you have. Literally, give away, sell, get rid of what you have, because they know that the value of what you have is something that they want for themselves, and they don't want you to have it. Bottom line. Because don't think for a second that all of a sudden, people may just want to think of an idea and all of a sudden it's to benefit. It's all out of nowhere. It's just, we want to just benefit everyone. Why? Who are you? Where did this come from? I appreciate your lofty ideals, your noble thoughts and good deeds or wishes and intentions, but never forget the road to hell was paved with good intentions. So be secure in what you're doing and firm on the decision making based on your research and your information that you gather. Wherever your intuition points you, whatever direction, you go with that. There's a stroke of luck with all this, and there's a stroke of luck involved with all this too, but you understand what I'm saying here. Make the decisions that are good for you, either way. But I tell you, the noise, a lot of stuff that we hear is just a distraction to take you off of what's important. And that's what I feel like this whole Ehex versus Phex. Come on, man. Come on, folks. I could be 100% wrong, but I'm gonna tell you what. I'm not nuking anything on Ethereum Hex. First of all, I can't afford it. That's a fact. Like, I'm not paying an exorbitant amount of gas fees to for what? I can't fundamentally, like practically, I can't do that. So I have no choice but to let the dust settle and take it from there. That's me. Others can do whatever they want. And that's it. But those are my thoughts on this thing with Ehex versus Phex. Folks, we got to keep our eyes on the prize. And it's true, if it wasn't this, it would have been something else. Because there's been other things leading up to this point. I spoke about it in my live earlier. Folks will always find something to talk about. Instead of reveling and really praising and like celebrating when good things happen, just be appreciative and grateful when great things come our way. Because it's a chance for us to really, really push forward, continue to push forward in whatever way, because nothing is perfect, So I'll leave y'all with that. Take care.